Starting off fall camp, got a great group of freshmen coming in. Can you go ahead and evaluate the really talented group of kids that you've got in right now and how they've progressed so far 2 weeks of camp?
I mean, the freshman group, we all know that they have the talent to play ball here without question, okay? The question is always, going to be toughness. We want them to show the character that they represented when we recruited them. And that's what we're waiting to see right now. We want all of them to step up and do the things that we know they can do. And we want them like Jake Matthews, Shep Klink, Garrett Grambling, Cedric Abui, all of these freshmen, Luke Jokel. Every one of them have great ability. And they should be great players at some point. None of them are there right now. None of them are there yet. None of our offensive line is where it needs to be yet. So it's a long road ahead for all of them. It's a tough job, but it's a job that all of them can do, and there's some definite talent there.
Coach Sherman really complimented Matt Allen stepping up as well as Patrick Lewis today after practice. Two guys that are key to this offensive line going into the next season.
Yeah.
How in your mind are they right now, and are they where you want them to be?
Yeah, I mean, Matt Allen, we moved him to center. He's the transfer from LSU. He came 2 years ago. He had to sit out a year, and then last year we played him at some guard with Pat Lewis. We really never tried him at center, and you really don't usually move a guy to center his senior year, but we tried Matt at center in the spring, and he's a natural fit there. He's a natural center. He bends very well. He's physical. He's got great hands. He's a great influence on the other players with his physical toughness, and it's contagious. So he's been a nice surprise for us. At the same time, we haven't played a game yet. So Matt's got to produce in the games. He's got to take all the stuff that he's done in these practices and transfer it into game conditions. He's got to be able to do these things on game day. And on game day, it's not going to be the same front we're seeing now. There's going to be all kinds of multiple fronts you're going to see. And so the whole line, basically, for this season, is unproven. There's a lot left ahead that they have to be able to do. He's done a good job. Pat Lewis is a physical guy, big, thick guy. He can move people off the ball. Again, there's lots of little things that need to be cleaned up on all of them, which we'll continue to work on. But there's some talent up front. There's some talent, and there should be. This is Texas A&M. We should have some great old linemen here.
How do you get, if you do have to play as many as 2 true freshmen at tackle, have you ever needed to do a crash course, so to speak, to get a young guy ready to play in the league as tough as the Big 12?
No, very rarely will a freshman ever play as a true freshman in the Big 12. And getting them ready is a difficult job. At the same time, if that's who's playing, then that's the way it is. And that's the way it is. So Luke Jokel right now is doing a solid job. He needs to do a better job, and he knows that. And so right now you've got him working at some left tackle. You got Jake Matthews right there with him, both true freshmen. And the two of them are battling for that position right now, and we'll continue to do so. But there's so many little things that they need to develop in themselves and their skills to be able to perform that job, which is not an easy job. At the same time, like I said yesterday, mental toughness will overcome any of that if you've got a guy that has the want to, a guy that wants to do it, and he doesn't want any help doing it. He can do it without coaching. He knows it's just pride right now, and he'll get it done. That's the guy you want playing for you. And I think both of them possess that. So the coaching will become, the second part of the whole puzzle. That's the first part.
I was looking, talk to some other Big 12 South teams. I think Texas is about the only team that is not going to have a true freshman in their team. I mean, is that a trend right now? Is it because of the numbers game having to play more true freshmen in the offensive line?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a total trend. I can't speak for the other teams, but just speaking here, I don't know if it's a trend necessarily. Like, once we get this thing rolling here with these linemen, we're going to have, we've got some nice young linemen here. So we've got 7 or 8 real nice young linemen here that are sophomores or freshmen that are really going to be able to play here. And, once a guy sets his feet in there, like some of these freshmen, if they set their feet and they develop the way we think they will, they're going to play for 4 years.
But are they physically mature? Because that's another knock on true freshman offensive linemen is their maturity level, physical. I mean,
Yeah,
do they need to
well, let me
gain
just
weight,
say
lose
this.
weight,
I played football in the 80s, and in the 80s, lineman, your average lineman coming in was 235 pounds, 240, and they went to 290. Today, I mean, Jokel's 303 pounds. Jake Matthews is 292 pounds.
So what do you want?
I mean, yeah, so they're already big enough, you know. Are they strong enough? No. Are they fast enough? No. Those are all things that we'll need to work on with them, you know. So, I mean, do they need to develop? Of course they need to develop. But do they have the size now? Yes, they do.
And it seemed like there was a somewhat of a, not maybe a passing the torch, but Jake Matthews getting first time with his first team reps today at the end of practice, taking spot of Brian Thomas, who's done a really good job.
Yeah.
What have you seen out of the senior Brian Thomas, and is Jake Matthews nipping at his heels for that starting right tackle spot?
Yeah, there is no such thing as an incumbent here, so everybody's heels are being nipped at. If somebody inside doesn't have a good backup, we'll move somebody from the outside in if he doesn't perform. So, you know, as far as all of them are concerned, nobody's nipping at Brian Thomas's heels necessarily. Somebody's nipping at everybody's heels. You know, it's been very clear from the get-go with all these players. If you do not produce, then we'll find somebody that will produce. It's that simple. And Brian Thomas has done a solid job. You know, he's done a solid job. You know, and he needs to continue to work. But there's no passing of a torch. Jake Matthews is going to step up and hit people. And he's going to beat Thomas out. You know, he's going to have to beat him out in order to do it. He's going to have to play better than him to beat him out. And likewise, anybody else along the line. Shep Klink has done a decent job for us as a freshman. If he plays better than the two guards that are there right now, he's going to start. So it's very simple here. Coach Sherman has mapped it out that way. You know, the best players are going to play, period. And how do you know who the best player is? You watch the video, and it stands out like a sore thumb. You can see who's the best.
It seems like the most glaring concern position, if someone were to go down, would be at the center. With Danny Baker, you know, it seems from observation that, you know, he's not where you want him to be. Is that a glaring concern for you if Matt Allen were to get injured at the center spot?
If Matt Allen gets hurt, we'll obviously have many plans for many different scenarios. And right now, you've got Danny Baker at center, you got Joey V at center, both guys that were developing at the center position. Brian Thomas will get reps at the center position. So there's your four players who will really be, you know, a part of the center scenario. Other than that, I mean, you know, those guys will move my Brian inside at some point next week and let him get some reps in there. And then again, not only do you find out who the first team players are going to be, but, you know, you're competing for the second player team, you know, the second team players. So, you know, everything's in motion that way to find the ones and the twos, to find the best player. That's the 1 and 2 at each position. And some guys will be the second team tackle and the second team center. So, or the second team guard on both sides, whoever it is. A lot of times the way you do it is you got your 5 up front, and you have your 6th player and your 7th player. And if somebody goes down, you have a scenario where he's going in and you're moving somebody, or however you want to do it.
So you've got seven guys so far?
Right now, I've got 16 guys that are competing for spots. And
would you like to have 8 going into a game? You could do it with 3 being the swing players?
that's right. That's a great number. 8 players is the exact number. You want 8 people that can play right now.
Jarvis Arison looked like he did raw, but really got a lot of upside. Coach Sherman said after practice today you wanted to try him out for 10 days and then move him and see him on defensive line. Another one of those talented true freshmen that you got coming in. What do you think of him in those first 10 days?
He might have more pure talent than any of them, for all I know. I mean, he's got some serious talent, some serious athletic ability, great character kid. You know, shows up ready to work every day, can be physical. He's not quite there yet, but he will be. He's got the tools. He has the tools to be a solid offensive lineman here, without question. Without question. Very happy with him.